Yeah, I mean, it's okay, but until a point. I mean, from Turkey to make big things like going to Europe and going to US for tour and stuff is almost impossible. It's like also like it's not super welcome in the society. It's not like Germany here. If you're a metalhead, it's normal. But there, you're walking with long hair and tattoos. It's not super everywhere, like even in Istanbul, some places you need to know where you're going.
Hey, what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians, talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. I hope you've had a killer weekend. I most certainly did. This Vox and Hops episode is presented by Heavy Montreal. Heavy Montreal are Montreal's premier metal promoter. And trust me when I say this, if you are ever in Montreal and you want to go see a killer metal show, Heavy Montreal will have you covered. I am beyond stoked to have Heavy Montreal behind the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I'd just like to ask you to follow the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. But more than that, I would love for you to tell a friend about the podcast. If there's someone in your life that just loves extreme music, in-depth conversations, and also loves craft beer, well, you should definitely let them know that the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast exists. If you would encourage one of your friends to become a brand new Vox and Hops head, that would be something that I would truly appreciate. Now, today on the podcast, I'm very stoked to be with Sarp Keski of Bipolar Architecture. Get ready, everyone. This is Vox and Hops episode number 457.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm very stoked to with Sarp Keski of Bipolar Architecture. Big fan. I stumbled across Metaphysicize, your recent album that dropped back in January, because it came out on Pelagic, and I tend to always check out what comes out on Pelagic because I love Robin. I love most of everything that he puts out. I always give it a spin. I always give it a listen. And if I have to really imagine, I imagine Jerry Monk, Vox and Hops' metal architect, which is funny, who makes all of my playlists for the podcast, probably threw your record my way. Can't quite remember. A very long way just to say, Sarp, how you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. And you?
I'm great. I just came back. This is my first Zoom interview after the Unquestionable Blasphemy tour, which just wrapped up in Europe, where Cryptopsy was out with Atheist, Almost Dead, Monastery, and 72 Legions. We had a great, great time. We kicked off in Berlin, which is where you're from. And then when you fly in, it's always cheaper to fly in and fly out from one city. So we drove for 18 hours at the end of the tour from Derby, UK, all the way back to Germany, back to Berlin. And it was a long drive, but, we had lots of liquids to keep us company, and we would wake up and enjoy a beer or two, go back and take a nap, and then repeat maybe 2-3 times.
Yeah, can imagine.
It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back doing interviews. I love doing this. I did a few on the road, but I'm always honestly much more comfortable right here. I'm in my element. I've done hundreds of them like this, so I'm happy to be here with you, Sarp.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, it's better this way, I think.
Face to face, there's less distractions, and it's we can really just focus on
yeah, that's true.
The important stuff. It's Vox and Hops, and what's very important to me is not necessarily important to you, as I know because we spoke about it slightly before I pushed record. Vox and Hops is all about hanging out with my metal friends, talking about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. Now, you don't have a beer on your side, but what are you going to be drinking today? And we're sharing virtually.
I go with cola mostly.
Nice.
Because I don't drink actually, just maybe some few beers if we play in a festival or something, but mostly I don't that much. That's right.
That's perfectly fine. Everyone has their own way of life, and I respect everyone. I do enjoy a few beers, and I have a classic one here, it's become a classic over time here in Quebec. Yeah. For me, it's an iconic beer. The man Gabriel, Vox and Hops, I had an interview with him because I was so enamored with this beer back in 2017, 2018, I want to say, probably 17. He started brewing this in his garage, and he works for a very big brewery called Boréale. And I don't know if it's just the timing of everything or if it was actually super influential. I like to think that it was influential because it changed the whole landscape of craft beer here in Montreal, in Quebec, where I'm from, in Canada. And it's a hazy IPA, nothing new nowadays, but back in the day, when this came out, this changed the world. People freaked out and they would like line up and try to buy them. They came in these little tiny cans at first and now they've moved up to this. So cheers to Gabriel. Cheers to you. Cheers to Boréale for continuing to reinvent stuff, after being in the business for over 30 years. I would like to hear, like you do drink beer at festivals. Do you remember your very first beer?
Actually, I can talk about the craft beer a bit because me and my wife, we really like to go to this place called Brewdog, which, you know this?
I know this very well. Yes, I visited quite a few on that tour that we just did.
Yeah, I tried a lot of beers there, actually. Like a hazy IPA. I liked also, I don't know which one. One was called Elvis Juice or something.
Elvis Juice. I think it's with grapefruit juice in it.
Yeah. This one is my favorite. This
okay,
I like.
Very interesting. Do you remember your first beer? Do you remember the first beer that you ever drank?
My first beer is just Efes, like a local beer from Turkey.
What is the culture of beer drinking in Turkey like? Here in North America, it's very like some parents will like let their kids drink a bit earlier. We all tend to like experiment as teenagers and go out and hypothetically use a fake ID to grab a few six packs to have a crazy night when you're like 14 to 16 years old. What is it like? I know like in Europe it's different. What is it like in Turkey?
Yeah, in Turkey, until 18, it's not that much welcome by your family, I can say. But depends on the family. I mean, my family was open-minded, and so then after 18, you're allowed to do everything, but not that much like in Europe. Like here, I would say like...
Drinking is more permissible at a young age in certain European countries, for sure.
Yeah, but here, like, you can like just drink everywhere. In
Correct.
The streets, it's allowed in Berlin.
Correct.
And drink in the streets. And still this cultural pressure a bit by Islam in the country. So
yes,
it's not super, but everyone is drinking also, like all the fathers and everyone is drinking, like in the end.
It is, that is true. It slipped my mind that the Islamic presence is so present there. And I was just there in December.
Not in Istanbul that much, that's why.
There's still the mosques and the singing. Because I was taking a nap before the show, and
it's interesting.
It was like kicking off, and it's actually it finds its way into your dreams.
It's very different vibe, yeah.
Very much so. So how similar is it? And we mentioned this before I pushed record too. Is that the culture in Istanbul, smoking is extremely prevalent. So is there the same wait time, or the people that is it frowned upon for children to smoke at a younger age, or is it 18 the same as with drinking?
Yeah, normally the same, 18 of course, but I think in Turkey everyone starts a bit earlier.
There was a lot of smoking.
Not me though, I started later, like 25, 26, but yeah, there's a lot of smoking going on for sure.
Oh, that's interesting. Why would you have waited that long to get into it?
Yeah, actually, I didn't like it at all because my parents were smoking and the living room was like gas room somehow. Yeah. So I waited a bit, but then, I don't know, a bit stressed, like some young troubles, and then...
and then you fell into it. Yeah, we had a good time in Istanbul. It was a crazy show. They way oversold that room. It was hot. It was crazy. The crowd was intense.
Where was this in Istanbul?
I wish I wrote it down. It was supposed to be in one venue, and then they moved it to a smaller venue. But it was right in that area with all the little markets and the beautiful, like the colors of the markets was so beautiful. Just all the little chickpeas and the lentils and the dates and the dried fruit. And the smell of the spices, I can still smell it now that I think about it.
But Asian side, yeah?
Yes, correct.
I think it was on at the Wall.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We played there too, I remember. Yeah, the nice place.
It was very
nice
cool.
Area.
Yeah, very, 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 very cultural. I felt like I was just submerged in the culture. It was very interesting.
It's a perfect place to go, actually, if you want to understand a bit. Like, also the alternative quarter, of course.
Mm-hmm. And then we went to the metal bar afterwards, and that was awesome. People kept buying us shots, and I kept like pretending to drink them honestly, but which happens sometimes.
Turkish shot is nice.
I'd love to hear about the soundtrack of your youth. You mentioned your parents were smokers, gas chamber, but what were your parents listening to? What music was playing on the radio in your house when you were growing up, when you were not in control of the radio?
Not that much. I mean, so what was on TV, let's say, just popular cultural stuff. I mean, my father was into, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix or this kind of music a bit at least. But I don't know, everything I listened myself, discovered myself, I think.
What would have been like your main source of in like where would you find the music? Who was it coming from? Was it from the internet? I'm not sure how old you are. Was it before that? Where were you finding these bands?
Yeah, it's like I'm like 38, and
okay, so we're close. We're close.
Yeah, it was the times like internet was just coming actually, like in Turkey. I mean, I don't know, maybe earlier there. But then I started to actually one friend like influenced me a lot. Like I was just listening to punk stuff like Blink-182 and some more softish stuff, just meeting this music. And then he brought me 2 cassettes. I remember like one Slipknot and one Korn, and I listened to Slipknot. I said, yeah, okay, there's something else.
Yeah.
But then I was in totally. Then went into
the rabbit hole. You just slipped into the metal rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Those two were very early for me too as well. The Korn and the Slipknot, that really just, and there was a moment I was like, I could never scream like that. There's no way I could ever scream like Corey Taylor. And there are still some moments where I'm like, I still can't do that. It's too intense. But
he's different kind. Yeah,
because he's not doing it technically properly. He's like literally dying.
Yeah,
the first album at least. Second album, yeah.
First 2 albums I'm talking about also, yeah. Not
When did music become something more than just something that you were listening to? At what point did you aspire to start making music yourself? Was it the guitar first? Was it the vocals? What came? When did this all come together?
Yeah, it was actually not that much after I listened to Slipknot. I said we were like close to friends, and I said we need to do something like this too. And then we went to a studio, like all of us, like 2 guitars. So we said it's not working. Then I stay on guitar, and my like best friend in that time going to drums, and then we started, and then it led to a death metal band actually also. Then we played some festivals and stuff in Europe with
really?
This also.
Just your first band, just.
Yes.
Wow.
It was fast. I just started to write. I like to create always with everything I do. Then I just started fastly, and we were. I mean, for a Turkish young metal guy, it was early for us to play in Europe, like in 20.
You were 20 years old and already playing festivals in Europe.
Yeah, for Turkey, it was like very different.
And then you came home and you were like rock stars to all your friends.
No, then depression again.
Depression, yeah. Was it tough being a young metalhead in Turkey? Does Turkey get a lot of shows coming through? I know Cryptopsy played there once many years before I was in the band, and then it hadn't been like 20 years before we came back. So is there a vibrant scene? Was it easy for you as a young metalhead to actually get exposed to shows?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, but until a point. I mean, from Turkey to make big things like going to Europe and going to US for tour and stuff is almost impossible. It's like also like it's not super welcome in the society. It's not like Germany here. If you're a metalhead, it's normal. But there, you're walking with long hair and tattoos. It's not super everywhere, you know. Like even in Istanbul, some places you need to know where you're going.
Wow, if not, people are going to say shit to you or worse.
Yeah, can be. I mean, not like super big things, but they will say something, and I don't know. It's hard. Also, not that much possibilities to do the music.
Correct. There's not that many bands touring through there to get opening slots, and so it was a natural move because you've lived in Berlin for quite some time now. Was that an active decision for the band, or was it just more of a lifestyle, more of for yourself?
No, it's a very, very different story. I met my wife in Istanbul, actually. Then we decided to marry, and I moved here for her.
And then it worked out for the band, too, because there was like a two-sided factor. You moved for love, but it's also a lot easier to be a touring professional band if you are in Berlin, let's say.
Yeah, of course. Then after a while, we parted ways already with my former death metal band. We weren't doing anymore. And then here, I thought there are lots of possibilities here, like supports from the government, cultural ministry and stuff. Then I said I can use it. And that was also the times that I was thinking I should create something different, not just death metal, but like a mixture of genres.
What was that death metal band's name?
Heretic Soul.
Heretic Soul, okay. If anyone, everyone that's like listening that doesn't know you as well as I should have known you before this chat is already thinking they're trying to find it. They were always saying, Matt, ask him. So I had to.
Yeah, it's very different styles though with bipolar architecture.
So I definitely am a huge post-metal fan. So talk to me about the decision of going from extreme death metal to something that breathes a little bit more, something with a bit more ambience. When did this all come together? Was it something that you were already a big fan of? Did it just come naturally from you? How did you make that transition from writing extreme music to more melodic, more atmospheric metal, let's say?
It was always like a thing that I didn't want to do death metal anymore. Somehow I thought like I completed my mission. Then I was into post-rock so much, like I listened to many bands, like for every night for hours and hours, and post-metal. And then I thought a nice mixture could be good. I mean, I like also this new metal and core stuff too, you know, like I like all the genres of metal mostly, except like the power, thrash or heavy metal part. And then yeah. I have to say it. It's like this for me, but I
no. You everyone's allowed to like and hate or dislike whatever they like, as long as we're respectful about it.
Yeah. And then I heard these bands like Death Heaven or like this Oathbreaker, and then I said, yeah, this is the thing like to do. And then, but in my style, and then maybe I can create something unique, not another band for good, but another one.
Was there definitely a thought process of, I'm going to create another band that's going to make it again? Or was it just, I'm going to write songs for me in this genre, and then it happened to make it?
Yeah, I never stopped writing songs. I always write, even when we parted ways with that metal band. Then I realized also I'm writing some different things, like more post-rockish and more ambient things. Then I thought I can make a mix. And in the time I listened to these bands, and then it's like...
It's like subconsciously linking its way into your writing.
Yeah, I think so.
Love post-metal, love post-rock. I love the landscape that gets painted, the sonic landscape. And then when the heaviness comes back again, the dynamics of it all makes it so much heavier. That's what's interesting about it, that I like very, very much. And even in post-rock bands like Mono, which is one of your label mates, which is super cool on Pelagic, is they can be super heavy, despite the fact that they're probably tuned in E standard tuning, but just the way that the parts are linked together and the buildup of everything makes it so impactful.
Yeah, the feel is like so heavy somehow. Yeah.
How do you go about crafting these massive songs? Like, when do you know that like an atmospheric part has run its course and it's time to swap it up? Because a lot about post rock is repetition. A lot about post metal is this it's almost like organic feeling of crafting a song. At what point do you know that a part has run its course and then you have to drop into the next section?
Yeah, I can say difference from death metal. Like here I'm more free, like I don't need to create like patterns like when making a song. I can do very different arrangements and it fits, and I can go very heavy and super cool, then very calm. This I like. This is the whole idea actually. And I don't know, like I know like post rock and post metal is like too much of repetition for me also, so I took everything I like from the genres also to make this mixture. And I'm making these loops and repetitions, but I don't want to bore also people or myself. If I'm bored in this, then I say, okay, cut it short here.
It's time to move on. Because it's also like intimidating lyric writing wise, because the sections go repeat for so long that you don't want to have it, the vocals being the whole time, because it takes away from the hypnotic atmosphere that comes into repetitive things if the vocals are all the time. So you're basically just sprinkling vocals on top here and there to emphasize the sections.
Yeah, actually, there are not that much lyrics even in the songs actually. When I compare to death metal again, there I was like always like
the whole
just
time,
going, whole time. But here I can just, sometimes there are 3-4 minutes in the song that I don't sing but just play.
I think that's awesome. It definitely adds to like it's post rock and post metal is all about like layering stuff and building
layering,
up
exactly.
to something. So like even though you're repeating something, you're like always adding like an extra melody line or an extra guitar part or an extra harmony, and then the vocals on top of it, and then the heavy part hits the chug.
It's a bit like electronics for me, like by arrangement, because layer by layer one comes and the other one leaves. It's like always progressive.
I find death metal extremely, and whenever I talk to black metal bands, I always bring this up. So anyone that's listened to the podcast are going to be like, Matt, you're talking about it again, is the freedom that is outside of death metal. I feel like death metal is extremely constrained, and you have to fall within a certain guideline of parameters, whereas modern black metal and post-metal, post-rock is much more free. There's much less guidelines.
Yeah, I like to do very much death metal too. I mean, really, but after a while, for me, this is a bit more wide for me to like explain myself somehow.
Mm-hmm. It's much more of your personality and character.
More personal, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're more than just an extreme death metal guy. Heretic Soul. You fulfilled all of that with Heretic Soul. How about something else that I always think about with, and we're dabbling in it right now. We just finished our first tour with a light guy. Shout out to Mateus. It was extremely pleasant to have a light guy on tour for an extreme death metal band. We get away with a lot as a death metal band because I got my hair, I can headbang, I move a lot. Post metal is different. There's a lot of lulling moments. So at what point is production a necessary element for a successful live show? Are you guys in full production mode with the lights behind you? Everything is synced up. At what point in your career did you realize that, we're not headbanging, we're not moving around, we're going to need more?
That's a bit... I always say to my bandmates also, like in this band, like just do what you like want to do. That's the whole point in this. But of course, like you are synchronized at some points, but you can be free also. Like you will see me maybe going crazy, but the other one is expressing in a different way. So there's no talk for this.
I don't think there's any talk in death metal either. Everyone just
sort of. You know what to do. Also, we didn't talk, but we were always like,
instinctively,
like
the music brings in certain groove elements that will all click. But I was talking more like light productions. I was talking more like stage production. Is that something that you guys have gotten into?
I want to, but not yet. It's
financially very heavy.
Yeah, but next step.
Good, yeah, because I think it's mandatory, especially for post-metal bands. Like I see bands like Cult of Luna, where they spend the whole night basically, and they're just silhouettes. Yeah, and it's so mesmerizing. It's just perfect. Incredible. Yeah. And to see them, it's like seeing Meshuggah at a festival in the day. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen Meshuggah in the festival during the day. It's not as good.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Cult of Luna's Lightning is also one of my favorites.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Difference. Yeah.
Fantastic. One of my favorites. Favorite post-metal bands, for sure. Always excited when they drop something new. Yes. But Meshuggah in the day just doesn't work. I saw Marilyn Manson in the day. That just doesn't work. So I think all these bands are putting in their contracts that they must perform at night. Yeah. Because their shows is more than just the music. It's an experience that needs to be witnessed at nighttime. So that's your next step. I'm encouraging you to push to do that. Then there's this debate. I'm like, this is like actual talk because Cryptopsy's right here now, of like purchasing your own lights and then having your own lights and setting it up. But that's so much work versus just having a guy and renting some and sharing it with other people. It's a whole thing. I'm like actively talking out my plans in my brain here, but. Yeah. My brain is the same plans. It's going all the time. It's like I think like sharing a light guy with a band that you're on tour with, and then sharing the costs of the rentals is probably the smartest way. That way, you're always renting the newest, up-to-date material, so that your show doesn't look dated. Yes, is sort of what I'm thinking at this point. Yeah, I plan to make somehow like use some automations with these lights. And okay, are you guys running everything on in-ear now? Because I know that we have a piece of I wish I knew what was in I call it the brain, our in-ear system, and you can definitely program lights into this. Yeah, that's what I think also, because we play just one set actually with no stop. Everything is on. Also, like, that's so dangerous.
Yeah, so dangerous, yeah. But they still
I can tell you from experience that it's very dangerous. It happened to us. And then we switched it and we broke it. We have it all together, but we also have it in chunks. And then we also have it in songs. For people we're talking about our in-ear systems. For people listening, we're talking about our in-ear systems, the way that we start our show, and a sample runs basically the whole time. And our mixes get sent to us all. You can choose to send it in one long show. Whereas if there's a mistake in the middle, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So we've decided to, and we have with Cryptops, we've broke it up into sections, but also into songs because we had like a horrible disaster that happened in the press.
Yeah, okay.
I suggest you do the same, just in case.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than being halfway through and then you're like, uh-oh, like something happens, like the PA goes out and they're like, what do? Do you start again? No, you can't.
No, you need to go on, yeah, these things actually in the last tour we were in Turkey also, and we had problems somehow because I don't know, the mixers were so outdated and I couldn't bring my sound guy there. Somehow everything was a bit messed up, and then in the end we ended up with not playing with in-ears,
just monitors.
Yeah, just click for our drummers and that's it.
You need that thing. It's like that video that you saw where the guy was tapping the drummer's leg because his in-ears were out. We had a few disasters on this tour. Our Personas died, and in Berlin the first night actually it was just cut out in our ears, but not our drummer's ears, not Flo's ears. And then it would come back and we'd be like, please be on time. And then we were on time. We were like, okay, good. Luckily we've played a lot recently, so we're in good shape, but it was a bit of a nightmare. And yeah.
If you are ready, really ready, then it's okay. But yeah, it's good
scary.
if you are playing the set list at once for this, because you know everything exactly. But as you say, if there's a problem, then
yeah, so I said the same thing to James Monty from Tesseract right before his show in Montreal, because he also does the one long show there, and he was like, oh shit, we should really think about this.
yeah, you should have backup also. Like,
always.
Somehow.
That's what we're doing. We're buying a new Personas right now. You signed to Pelagic Records. I love them. I love Robin. Talk to me about that experience. Talk to me about jumping onto what I think is one of the coolest smaller, bigger labels out there. I think that they're genuine. That's for sure. Style-wise and mood-wise, and if you Pelagic puts out, I always listen to it. So talk to me about joining Pelagic. Was it a goal of yours? Were you hoping for something else? Was it? Let's take it from there.
Yeah, with this band actually, with Bipolar, or for lots of years, I was always following all the genres, even when I was playing death metal. But I was checking which label was doing what. I was always researching and stuff. And Pelagic, after we created this band, then I just I don't know, put my eyes to Pelagic, and that's perfect for this music, I thought. I mean, it's very, very boutique also. And Robin, also like very close and very into the stuff. Like with us, like when I ask a suggestion of him and stuff, he's really, really into it. And you can see like he's into the details, which is important for me. Yes, Pelagic was a dream for me, like personally, I would say.
And how easy was it? You guys dropped that first record independently, I want to say.
Actually, Robin's friend Anna, also from Pelagic Records, like she saw us already, and then she liked our music, and then we talked a bit, and then I told about everything, like all the projects and what we are thinking for the future and stuff. Then there was a show in Berlin that we invited them to see, and then they saw, and I think they liked. Then we talked a bit more, like the real plans, and then happened.
It's awesome. I think it's a perfect home for you guys. You are performing at the Pelagic Fest, which I believe it's the first time he's doing this, and I feel like we chit-chatted when I had him on the podcast. I feel like I poked him about doing this, and
I think he did like 10 or 15 years ago.
Maybe okay. Maybe that's what came up. I should have re-listened to that episode. But they're celebrating their 15th anniversary now.
Yes,
and the lineup is dope.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, all bands are cool in Pelagic. They all have something unique for themselves. That's my thinking.
That is true.
Every band has something for themselves, for sure.
It's like, but they all sort of have like this common thread identity. that fits to Pelagic, which I think is just so freaking awesome.
That's some kind of atmosphere. Yeah, that's you always have in. Yeah,
I think it's sick. You're also doing the Artangent Fest in August, so that's also another great festival. And I know that Robin likes to get a lot of his bands on that. So August is going to be a big month for you guys.
Yeah, it's also a dream festival for post listeners and post players.
Yeah,
so it's really good actually. Yeah, things happening fast, and in the summer we play some really nice festivals. So I'm happy about it, of course.
Hell yes, I love it. If you could build a dream tour, unless you have done it, that would put bipolar architecture in front of the perfect crowd. 3-band package. So it's you guys plus 2 more bands. What bands would those be?
Yeah, I would go genre-wise. Like also my favorites. Like I would put Death Heaven for sure. And I would say also The Ocean because I really like their shows also live.
So good.
It would fit somehow, the crowd.
Oh, I think so. There's definitely some crossover for sure. They just did Carnival, which is like a big stretch almost a little bit, but it really was a huge success from what I saw.
Yeah, it was really good. I was there also. Actually, in this concert, we signed with Robin the agreement. Yeah.
No, that's so sick. That's amazing. That wasn't even that long ago, so Robin gets shit done quickly. I like this.
Yeah, he knows this stuff, really.
I think that's amazing. So goddamn cool. Yeah. I love to ask my guests the Fight the Hops question. It's where I ask my guests a short-term goal, something that you're hoping to accomplish within the next month or 2. What are you doing right now to fight the hops?
Right now, actually, I'm writing new songs for the 3rd album. Because, like, for me, it's not like, give it 2 months and sit in the guitar and make an album. It's not
you
working
write
for me
all the time.
All the time, yeah.
That's interesting.
Not with guitars also. Like, in my mind first, and then I know where it is on guitars.
Oh, it comes into your head first.
Yeah, everywhere it can be.
And you're, like, walking on the street, you're in the shower,
Yeah, everywhere.
You have guitars all around your house just in case?
No, here.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah. So what are you building upon the same vibe as Metaphysicize, or are you taking it somewhere else? Are you unfolding another layer of the onion of your personality?
Yeah, it will be something like Metaphysicize because this was the sound I wanted to reach from the first place. But of course, like always, you need to grow a bit or progress a bit, let's say, somehow. And we will add some new things, but we are trying now, so I can't say that much. But some new things, of course, we will add. But it will be, the atmosphere will be the same. Like the first album, like the second album. This atmosphere we need to keep.
I'd love to have some like strong, not operatic, but like sorrowful female vocals over like a big chug part would be so sick.
Yeah, some kind of clean vocals we are thinking, because actually with our new lineup, like our guitarist Stefanos, he can sing very well.
Oh, you should really definitely utilize some of that, yeah.
Our bass player Niklas also like this. So it can be a nice mix also, different sounds, some parts. We will try.
Don't overdo it, because then you'll scare away all your old fans. But a nice little sprinkle of extra, that extra layer in the building of the sonic landscape would be interesting.
Yeah, I think so. This we could put a bit, and then music will be heavy again. I can't do that. Like I tried actually for a project with a friend of mine, because he's very talented at singing and stuff. I wanted to do something more soft, but I couldn't do. Then in the end, I ended up with a bipolar architecture song.
Man, it's okay. Creativity comes from everywhere, right? So it's you got to hang out with a bunch of musicians to inspire yourself to make something interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. You
got to. I love making beers. I've made probably 80 of them in the past 5 years with the podcast. I have a big project with Boréale coming up in August, which I'll announce shortly. Maybe it's already announced by the time this is out, but coming up. I love it. It's my identity. I am the beer guy.
I would like to try that one.
I will hook you up if ever you come through here, because they're very easy to find. What would you do? What is the perfect bipolar architecture collab? What would be the perfect thing to represent your brand?
I don't know. Like, I would say Pelagic for this.
They'll help you come up with something cool. Something with blueprints. Something with something a little. You could sell at the merch like like a house of cards that always falls down because it's bipolar. An unstackable house of cards. I don't know.
Could be.
I have one last question, the classic Vox and Hops wrap-up question. It probably doesn't happen to you very often because you don't drink very often, but every once in a while, and maybe, once in your life, it has happened to you. What is your hangover cure?
When I drink, mostly I drink beer or some nice whiskey if I have, then I like. I don't know. Here in Germany, we are doing with beer later also, if you are really hangover.
Yes, it just, yeah.
I don't know if it helps, maybe just like psychologically, but...
It is very hard to get hungover in Germany. I will say that. You have to drink a lot of beer because the beer is really pure and the ABV tends to be around 5%. So you're basically hydrating yourself as you're drinking in the first place. I can talk from experience. I just did it a month ago.
Yeah, here it's hard, but hard. Like if you don't want to drink, it's hard.
That's it. Yeah. Sometimes the hair of the dog is the solution, but you got to stop after that one beer. I've said it a bunch on the podcast. If you wake up and you don't feel well and you have another beer to make yourself feel better, stop after that beer. If not, you're leading into a horrible, horrible day.
Yeah.
Sarp, thank you so much for taking the time, hanging out with me, talking about your life, talking about music, talking a little bit about beer. Everyone go check it out. Metaphysicize Bipolar Architecture. It's an album that I love, and I'm sure you guys too. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks so much. That's fun.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right to the end. You know that I love and appreciate that. Man, this was an awesome conversation. So excited to have connected with Sarp. I love just listening to a band, discovering a band, falling in love with an album, shooting them a message on Instagram, and then sitting down and meeting the people that created this music that I adore. It is such an amazing experience. I'm very stoked that I connected with Sarp. I'm super interested in how they create the sonic landscape inside their music. I like how everything is calculated, much like death metal, but a little bit different, and I really thought that was super interesting. Go check it out. Thank you, Sarp, for hanging out with me. The Vox and Hops Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts. I hope you have a killer rest of the week. I will be back next week with another episode on Tuesday, but until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.